and that didn't really make a difference.
Oh. um, okay. So, okay, I'm recording now. Um, all right. Okay, I don't know where to start. Hey. um, okay, so I guess last time we spoke, you just arrived in Prague, and it was like one of your first few days there. And now it's been just over 2 months. So you've been to Prague in month one. Month two, where were you?
Belgrade, Serbia,
Belgrade,
not
Serbia.
Syria and not Siberia,
Serbia.
Serbia.
And then right now you are in London
Yes.
and you just got to London.
Yeah. We got here on Saturday.
Okay. Okay. I've got so many questions. Okay. I guess, I mean, I have some specific questions, but maybe, I guess so far, how was Prague?
Prague was I love Prague so much. Like I
Yeah.
I didn't have any expectations going to Prague. I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know anything about it, but it was such a good month. It was so much fun, and the city's beautiful. The people are cool. There's a lot to do. You can walk pretty much anywhere. It's safe.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Okay. And how did the month go in terms of the program, in terms of like just how it went with everyone, with the program? Like, was everyone still like high energy all month in Prague?
Yeah, the entire month was like nonstop, high energy, hang out, socialize, party, get
Yeah.
to know each other. There was so much like going out to eat, going out for lunch, going out to the beer garden, and just
Hmm.
basically doing nothing but socializing. And the program, they did a good job of introducing us to the lifestyle. I think it was not like overwhelming. It was a little overwhelming. Actually, I think it was a little overwhelming because of the amount of people that you have to meet all at once.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. I think I didn't even realize how overwhelming remote year can be until I finished, because you're so in such a reactive state all the time, almost like a survival mode, that you can't really even process what's happening
yeah.
until after.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the one of the things I didn't do a lot last month, but I've been doing a lot more lately, or the first month, was like I didn't never pause the first month to like look at what was going on in my life.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until like the end of the month, like I got sick and I had a lot of time to myself to think about what was going on, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy that I'm living
Hmm.
this lifestyle right now. And then I was able to really appreciate, and I stepped out of that reactive state that I was in for the whole month. And I was
Hmm.
like, this is cool. This is really awesome.
So then, when you were in Serbia, did you get a better feel like this is my life? Or like it seems like there was obviously a shift when you were sick and you had a chance to think about it and process it. Do you
Um,
think there was some sort of shift in your head?
yeah, well, what happened was there's I had the very, very top apartment in Prague on the building in the building that I was in, and my bedroom windows opened up onto the roof, and I was able to like climb out on the roof. And we spent a lot of time on that roof, and that became like a nightly thing. And sitting out there was really peaceful and relaxing. And it was like up there one of the last few nights that I was healthy that I was like, this is like my life now. And it was a moment of clarity. And then getting to Belgrade when we settled into the new place and it changed, that kind of like that confirmed and like that this is I'm not just doing this once and I'm taking off and going back home. Like that
Hmm.
solidified it in my head.
Yeah, I think that first month transition, it sort of hits you. It
Yeah.
maybe still feels like a trip, but I guess especially now you're in your third month, so it's definitely real. Like you've already done the travel day before. Now this is your second, this is your third country.
Yes. And the first month I kept thinking to myself, like, I can't imagine going back to my lifestyle before, like my life before remote year. I can't imagine going back to. But then I would catch myself like getting all emotional about it and be like, you know what, let me not say that yet and see how it goes for the rest of the year. Because I might feel completely different by month six. But in the last month, even in Belgrade, when it wasn't the greatest city at first for me, like I didn't really like Belgrade at first,
Mhm.
but even in the midst of all that, like I still can't imagine going back to the lifestyle that I was living before this. I love this.
And so, like what? So in Prague, you were in. You were in an apartment?
Yeah, it was a brand new apartment building that had
Okay.
just opened up. I think it was like the second month that they were open.
Okay. And then so you're in a brand new apartment. You had a co-working space there.
K10. K10 was
K10.
amazing. They actually just opened up when we got there. I think they were rushing to open things like the day before we got there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how was that? I mean, when we've had situations where, it's that sort of thing, the internet's sort of like a bit the first few days, and then
Yeah.
it gets resolved. Were they prepared for?
Yeah, so there were some issues with the internet throughout the month. Early on, there wasn't really much the only issues that I had with the workspace was that they promised us a gym and the gym wasn't ready yet.
Okay.
But the internet was fine. And when the internet would go down, our community manager or our program manager, Jenna, she had hotspots ready for us to go. If we had like important calls that we couldn't miss, she would like give us
Okay.
hotspots to use.
So how does the hotspot situation work? Do they have enough for everyone, or like you
It's
sort of share? Do you?
I don't think we really run into any issues with them being signed out. I think there's a handful of them, maybe like four,
Okay.
five, and you sign them out when you need them. And I don't think we've ever had them all signed out at once yet. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
And then in your second country, Serbia, right?
Yes.
Um, were you in apartment, hotel? What were you
I
in?
was in an apartment, but it was different than the first month because the first month was a big apartment building with a bunch of apartments in it. This
Okay.
was an apartment with just me and my roommate, Terrence, and we were kind of everybody else was spread out throughout the city.
Okay. Um, and then what was your workspace situation like?
We had a place called Smart Office, which the thing that I kept realizing about Serbia, about Belgrade, was the places themselves weren't like my apartment wasn't great as far as quality of living
Mhm.
goes. The workspace wasn't great as far as like the actual uh, amenities and stuff inside, but the locations of both of those places were amazing. Like my apartment was right next to a farmer's market. It was right next to the most popular street, I think, for as far as nightlife and hanging out. And
Mhm.
then the workspace was in the square, like the city center. So going to the workspace was great because you could go out to lunch. And you have to walk downstairs, and there's like hundreds of options. So there was I like that about it, but the workspace wasn't anything fancy. Like K10 was a mansion in Prague. We had a
Yeah.
mansion, and coming from a mansion to a little like one floor workspace that didn't have a lot of space in it, there wasn't really any quiet space either. Like people, they set up these like fake phone booths. They were basically just big
Mhm.
boxes with
Yeah.
soundproof padding in them, but they didn't really work that well.
So was it like a pop-up workspace
No, I
or
think
an actual
No,
one?
I think it was already there, and people were. There's two floors to it. We had one whole floor for remote year. I think that was our
Okay.
first. I think we were the first group to go through there, though.
Okay. And then, so what was you had your travel day. Did you fly from Prague to Serbia?
No, we we took a bus for like
Okay.
8.5 hours. We stopped in Budapest for 4 hours, which
Okay.
sounded great when they asked us. They were like, "Oh, do you want to do the overnight trip and go directly to Belgrade, or do you want to do a day trip, stop in Budapest for a little
Mhm.
while?" And I was all about the Budapest stop, but I was still sick when they actually arrived. So my time in Budapest was a nightmare for me, and the whole bus ride was a nightmare. So we had two buses, and they were both. Um, they split our group up into two different groups, and they had air conditioning on the buses and a bathroom. But on the way to Budapest, one of the buses' air conditioning broke, and then they tried to open the windows to get some air flowing through there, and it basically just took all the shit smell and circulated it through the bus. So,
Oh,
so the first bus just was a hot shit box,
oh
and
my God.
so then they were like, when we got to Budapest, they put us all on one bus, and that made it really uncomfortable because the way down, everybody was really nice to me because I was sick, so they put me in the back row and let me lay across the back row of seats. But then when we
Mm.
had to cram into one bus, it was I had like one seat, and I was like this the whole ride.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, wow. And then, so when you were going from Serbia to London, did you guys fly?
Yeah, it was a 2.5 hour flight.
Okay.
It was a cakewalk, like no complaints about the flight to London. And it
Okay.
well, so there was two flights. I don't have any complaints because I was lucky. I was on the second flight, which was later in the day, so I got to sleep in a little bit later. I had more time to prepare, and then also when the first flight landed, the customs line was like 3 hours long, but for us it was like 45 minutes.
Okay. Huh. And
Yeah,
then, um, so you are in London
right
now.
now. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to keep track because um, I know people in different remote year groups, and you guys are like overlapping countries. So I'm like, wait, is it RY2 or 3 or 5?
Wait,
That's like I
I
can't.
think they stopped using the numbers because when I was talking to Sam,
Yeah.
uh, I was like, "Are we five? Are we four?" And he was like, "We're not doing that anymore."
But I can't keep track of you guys because the names are impossible to remember. And I'm like, okay, no, but they were on
Our
remote
name,
year 5 months after everyone, so they're RY5
yeah, our
or
name
whatever.
is the easiest name I think to actually pronounce and remember. I can't even say half the other names. I don't know why. There's a
Yeah. It's like, okay, there's an order everyone came. Let's just yeah, it's funny. And then so what are your accommodations like in London? And have you been to the workspace?
the in London it's special because the workspace is the living space. So
Okay.
right now, like this tiny little bedroom that I have, if you can see, like that's my bed right there. And then over here is my bathroom and so it's
Okay.
a studio. It's a two-bedroom studio. We have
Okay.
our bedrooms are joined by a small kitchen with like a half a fridge or whatever, like one of those little fridges. Hey, Dan's
Okay.
here. Um, one of those little fridges and we have a stove top, but we don't have any cookware, which is really hard to use a stove without cookware. But
Mhm.
the cool thing about the thing I love about this place is it's 9 floors. Each floor has its own like special themed room, or
Okay.
it has like something cool about it. So the fourth floor has a secret garden, which is like a really zen place to work. The fifth floor has a game room, which has like a ping pong table, a pool table, and all this
Cool.
other like a big TV and all this other cool stuff. The sixth floor, oh, that's the sixth floor. Sorry, the fifth floor is a cinema room. We have a big room with like all these crazy beanbag chairs and a big projector, which we're actually going to go use tonight and watch and watch Black Mirror. And then what else? There's each kitchen on or there's a kitchen on every floor, and some of them are themed. Like I just made lunch in the French bistro kitchen, which is like this nice little kitchen on the ninth floor.
Cool.
And yeah, and there's a bar downstairs with a restaurant, and there's people everywhere always hanging out. I haven't left the workspace yet, except for the first day we had a bus tour. That was really it.
So like here, is it just your group or are there other people?
In the building?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, our group takes up the second and third floors, I believe, and then the rest
Okay.
of the building is like other people. Like we've actually gotten a chance to interact with other people that are living and working remote.
Cool. And then is it weird having your workspace in your building? Like you could literally not leave your building the entire day, right?
I have done that the last 2 days. I haven't left the building. It's been raining. I'm like, that's my excuse. I'm just gonna stay inside and get a lot of work done.
Yeah.
But it's cool because I can take a break and go like right now, Dan, who's in the comments, I could go like play ping pong with him if I wanted to. And then just like jump back into my work immediately after that or something.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot for that reason. A lot of people are working at other workspaces in the city today because they just want to get out and explore. And
Yeah.
so the downside of this is I won't leave that often and I won't see as much of the city as
Yeah.
I probably should.
Have you been working from other places like cafes and stuff, or are you usually at the co-working space?
Last month, I spent a lot of time at the co-working space and in my apartment. I didn't work at cafes that often. The last week or so, I did that more because I just felt like I didn't do it enough. But the
Hmm.
internet at the workspace was by far faster than most cafes in Belgrade. This month, I'm sure I'll be able to find some other places to work from. But it's just easier when we have a dedicated workspace and I don't have to like change into real clothes. I can just go up in my pajamas.
Yeah. Do you want to answer these live chat questions as we go or at
Yeah.
the
Okay.
end?
So
Okay.
to answer what was the first one? Um, what is the upload like? So if you're trying to do I'm doing live streaming right now, right? I mean, we're live streaming. I think Europe is probably better for this. I have no idea what to expect from South America, but I don't expect high internet speeds.
Hmm.
So we'll see. Live streaming shouldn't be an issue in Europe though,
Yeah.
and in Asia, some places in Asia. To answer Dan's question, am I up? I am up, Dan. Thank you. And I wish you would spell my name correctly. Um, do we go on adventures or do we have to follow the itinerary? So we can do whatever we want, really. There's actually a couple people that well, one person that's not even here all month because he just didn't want to be here. And people take side trips. People, I'm really bad. We have a calendar that they organize. We have an official calendar and an unofficial calendar. The
Hmm.
unofficial calendar, anybody in the group can add an event to that they're organizing. The official calendar is organized by Remote Year, and they have like different labels, like this one costs money, this one's free. And I'm really bad about keeping up with the calendar. So people come up to me and they're like, "Are you doing X and Y tonight?" And I'm like, "I didn't even know that was happening, but it sounds cool." And then by the time I find out about it, they're like, "Oh, you had to opt in or like reserve a spot." And shit, forgot.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of activities that you can participate in, but you don't have to. The other people in the group, I talked about this in the vlog, in the last episode of my vlog. Everybody's amazing. I love everybody in the group. I'm getting to know everybody pretty well. I think it's cool because they like pick the group. Like it's not just a bunch of people that apply and then they're automatically in. It's like they selected these people because they felt like they were going to be a good match, and I think they did a great job. For my group, I don't know the other groups, but for my group, I think they did a fantastic job of picking people that are interesting, intelligent, and just great individuals, and they make together a great group.
That's cool. And how has the dynamic shifted from like when you first met you, when I first spoke to you, you only could remember a handful of names, and now
Yeah, that
you're
was like
in,
the first week, wasn't it?
yeah, and now you're into month 3. So how has the dynamic shifted? Like, is everyone still going crazy and partying? Have they like calmed down? Have people got to know each other more? Like, have people started dating? Like remote year 2, like everyone started dating each other like right away.
Yeah. So we haven't partied as much. Well, that's not true. Last month, I thought it was going to die out like the partying, but
Mm-hmm.
Belgrade is a party city. Like they
Okay.
start at like 11 o'clock at night and they go into like the next morning, and that's just
Yeah.
regular for them. So there were people in our group that were doing that, and I think that that was fine. That was appropriate. I mean, it's cool. Get
Mm-hmm.
used to the yeah getting lit. Yeah. um, I don't think there's going to be as much partying this month. One, because it's way more expensive to party here,
Mm,
and
yeah.
two, because I think I've heard a couple people say that like it's time to like slow down and find some balance. So I think
Mm,
everybody's feeling that way, that we need to find a good balance between work and play. Um, it is cool that we're getting so familiar and comfortable with each other that it doesn't feel new. That's an interesting feeling. It's only been 2 months, but I think that
mm-hmm.
there's people that I hang out with or see that I don't feel like these are new friends anymore. They feel like just friends,
Yeah.
which is great. And the dynamic will probably change this month because we're all on top of each other in this building. Like we were spread out last month. I didn't see certain people last month very much. There was a couple people I didn't see at all last month, and like people like my roommate in the first month, I didn't see him a lot last month, so that kind of sucked. And this
Yeah.
month, I think I'm seeing people a lot more frequently.
And do you find, are people taking side trips often? Like, are they leaving to go on side trips often, or are they hanging around?
Lots of side trips last month, and I think a lot of side trips this month. I'm actually going to be taking a side trip this month to Ireland, which is really cheap. And yeah, there's tons of side trips. That kind of sucks too because you don't see someone for like a week or two, and that
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you don't even realize it. You're like, damn, where have you been? And they're like, oh, I was on a side trip. And
Yeah.
the worst part about it is the FOMO because you have the Instagram post and you have like the Facebook post about like,
Yeah.
I'm on a trip to Croatia and I'm sailing. And I'm like, I'm over here working on my laptop. I want to sail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and to answer your other question, there have been hookups. There are people dating. Well, I don't know if anybody's officially dating. There are people
Mm-hmm.
that are like regularly hooking up though that we're like, they're a couple. We know that they're a couple.
That's really
Um,
funny.
yeah, and I still think it's incestuous. I don't know.
Yeah. Has it like caused any drama on your group at all?
Not yet. There's some things I could talk about, but I think it's premature. Um, so no, I don't think any real drama has occurred yet. But um, we're getting we're seeing some relationships develop. I think in the next couple of months we might see something official happen.
Interesting.
I'll put it in the
This
next
is like
vlog
a to
too.
be continued next month. Let's
Yeah,
find out.
we'll check in and see. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that how fast people like connected and started to hook up because I don't know, to me it was like
Mhm.
you don't even really know each other. Maybe it's just fun or whatever.
Yeah. It will be interesting as you guys get to really know each other and how things happen. And I think
Exactly.
every
I heard
remote, what?
the the remote year nation Revista email or whatever
Hmm.
said that one of the groups has their first remote year engagement.
Yeah,
What? That's
I
crazy.
saw that.
I
Yeah.
wonder what group it is, and if it's the first, it's not your group, right?
No, it's not our way one or two. I think it's three or four.
Those people had to have known each other before remote year because it's
Yeah.
way too soon to be getting engaged. That's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, I had this conversation with a couple people the other night. Like, some people feel like remote year you is not you, but I personally, I'm the meest me I've ever been on remote year.
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah. Um, yeah. I guess you're also in this whole different dynamic environment. So, like, you are yourself, but in a way, like, you're in a whole new situation. So, how you react and act in those different situations is so different
Yeah,
than home. Like, you're not
yeah.
doing 9 to 5 commuting to work. So, when you're out and you're like, oh, I'm going to go here and do this today, like, it's sort of, yeah, that's interesting. Um,
I so to so you feel like uh, the person in the comments said, I feel like most people on something like this would be reinventing themselves. So one of the things I mentioned in my Prague vlog episode was that there are definitely people reinventing themselves. But one of the things I loved, and like the reason I say I'm the meest me I've ever been, is because I'm not reinventing myself. More so, I'm becoming the purest version of myself. Because back at home, I
yeah.
had like people had expectations of me, and I kind
Mhm.
of tried to live up to them. But now
Yeah.
nobody has any expectations. I'm just being me. I'm just
Yeah.
completely me.
I've absolutely seen that with people on my program, from when they started to the end. And I think it gave them the opportunity to become who they felt they always were.
Hmm.
But you grow up with certain people in a certain dynamic for like 20, 30 years, and people expect certain things of you and behaviors of certain ways. So when you're
Yeah.
in this environment, you can, so yeah, maybe you are different, but in the sense that you're being your truest self. And.
So did you experience that and going home? Did you feel like it was kind of uncomfortable to be the person that you were on remote year at home?
Yeah, it was really hard, like really hard. My first 2 weeks were like awesome. I was super excited. It was so great to be home. And like for like 3 weeks, it was like this horrible depression. Like I've never experienced something like that. The only time was like getting homesick. And I couldn't figure out like why I was so upset. And I think I realized a lot of things, like I became a digital nomad on remote year. So I always had the community, and to not have that is difficult. Um, it's not like I can just say like, hey, let's go to a coffee shop.
That's the scariest thing to me. Like, I don't want to lose this community because that's the most valuable part of remote year. Like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck everything else. The community is the most important part to me. And
Yeah.
once I lose that at the end of the year, I don't know how I'm going to get something like that ever again on this scale. That's kind of like why one of my goals is to become like the remote year videographer. Like, I would love to just keep traveling with these groups of people
Mm-hmm.
indefinitely and having that community always. Because some of our like Tyler, who's one of the admissions people for remote year, he's traveling with us. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing his remote year job, but he's also, he's part of our group,
Yeah.
and he's traveling with us, and he's experiencing the things that we're experiencing, and he's utilizing our community, and it's great. I'm actually his roommate, which is kind of
Oh yeah.
interesting. Yeah, so I love that. I don't want to lose that at the end of the year. And I don't want to
Yeah.
pay. I don't. Do you think they would take on alumni for another trip again, for another program again? Probably not.
Yeah, like for us, we have an alumni program, so we could join up with any of your groups and we pay a discounted fee and get access to accommodations, your events, your co-working space,
What?
everything.
That's
So it's
awesome.
essentially like we can join on remote year any group any month. We just have to let them know, and we pay like a discounted rate to join.
Okay, I'm definitely taking advantage of that once
Yeah.
this is over. I don't even
Like,
know if I want to go home, to be honest. Like, I'll probably feel different at the end of the year, but right now I
yeah.
don't know if I want to go back to New Jersey.
I think that maybe in my situation, like I understand where you're coming from. And for me, I think by the end of remote year, I was like, before I could care less where I lived and worked and all that. And by the end, I really, sorry about the dinging. By the end, I was like, I just want to pick where I live. Like because nothing in your life is consistent. And like being able to pick where you live is like, you get to pick your home, sort of like
Yeah.
you just want something that's permanent.
When are you permanently moving to Bali?
I'm going back to Bali for 2 weeks, um, about 2 weeks. I'm going to do a
Mhm.
retreat there. But yeah, Bali has part of my heart.
Yeah.
um, but yeah.
So one of the questions, how are we staying fit? There's some groups have formed. I started a Slack channel called Gym Rats. So we've got people hitting the gym regularly. There's a TRX group, which is pretty cool. I don't do TRX. There's a lot of yoga groups. One of the girls in our group actually teaches yoga, so she holds like a yoga class
Well,
every so often. I skateboard so much that I don't really need to do anything else as far as cardio goes. Last month, I skated I skated Belgrade so much because I didn't have the luxury of skating in Prague because it was like all cobblestone. So
yeah.
when I got to Belgrade, I saw that there were like streets with like semi-smooth surfaces. I was like, fuck yeah. So I skated everywhere. I didn't take like any public transportation or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, and that's it. That's basically the extent of my physical activity. And like, it's more than I think I did back when I was at home. I was very stagnant at home in more ways than one.
Is it is it hard to eat healthy? Do you find,
Yes,
or
especially last month because so the balance is trying to find like you're trying to find balance between I want to try these local dishes, I want to try all these new foods that I've never had before, but I also want to maybe I want to eat lean or I want to eat clean and I want to stick to a diet. You can't do that. You can't do both. So
yeah.
this month I started in the last few days cooking more and just like not work because I don't think London is that much different culturally than the States.
Mhm.
So I haven't been concerned about getting out and trying like I had fish and chips, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like that's all you really need here. So
Yeah.
I had that. Now I'm good for the month, and I'm just cooking food like chicken and vegetables regularly. And I'm trying to get back on a routine in the gym,
Mhm.
which is important to me. So
And
eating is
you've
difficult
had kitchens this whole time, right? So it's easy.
so far. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so that's good.
I'm concerned that in South America we won't, but I really hope that we do. But I bought this little griddle just in case we don't have kitchens, so I can
Okay,
cook
that's
chicken and
good.
eggs still.
I think once you live in a hotel, you'll appreciate being able to cook after you have
I
to eat out
really
every
don't want to
single
live in a
day.
hotel. I think they're doing everything they can to avoid that for our group. How
Hmm.
many months did you guys spend in a hotel?
Ours was like half and half. And I think what probably threw our group off is that you don't know where you're staying until a week before. So if you're in this like nice apartment and then you find out a week later you're going to a hotel, you don't have a kitchen, like it's sort of disappointing. It is part of the
Oh, definitely. I
program.
can see that.
Yeah.
It's the same for us. We still only get a week's notice about like, well, our high level, we have like, did you guys have a high level preview and then
Mhm.
like a
Yeah.
city preview? I think
Yeah.
our high level preview is actually like 2 or 3 weeks before. So we kind of know what our accommodations are going to look like.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. We don't know our roommates and we don't know specifics until the week before.
Okay. Um, I might ask some of the more like structured questions just so that I can have these when we look through like your entire year and how things have changed.
Yes.
So I guess one of the things is how is working going? Like, how many hours are you working? Are you working on a time zone? Does everyone else have jobs? Like, is it hard when you see people that are unemployed and you have to work, or are you in a situation where you can have like more free time? Like, how's all
Okay. One at a time.
that?
So working for me personally, I didn't work enough the first month. I worked so much the second month. Um, and it was the extremes, right? So I socialized a lot in Prague, and it made that month feel incredibly long. And I worked a lot in Belgrade, and that month went by super fast.
Mhm.
And I want to find like the perfect balance between those two because I didn't get to experience Belgrade as much as I did Prague. I did Prague in essentially only 3 weeks because I was sick for a whole week and still felt like I
Yeah.
experienced way more of that city than I did Belgrade. And now that we're collaborating within the group, there's more work to be done. So I've got my business, I've got my side projects, and now I've got projects with people in the group, and I've got the vlog. So I'm trying to create all this content and
Mhm.
still trying to enjoy the cities that I'm in. And this month it
Yeah.
doesn't look promising for me to actually get uh, a lot of time exploring the city. Prague, I spent countless days just wandering for no reason, and that's great. I love doing that. I didn't do that at all last month. Everywhere I went with a purpose. Um,
Mhm.
and then, but the collaboration is really fun. Like I've got this project. Actually, the meeting that I was on right before this with you, I'm working on a project for a company who, all right, let me start over. There's a girl in my group who works for a company based out of Boston, and they contracted me to do some work for them. I can't really talk about it, but that's really exciting for me. And once it's released, I'll talk more about it. But like
Mhm.
that's only possible for me because I'm here on remote year, and that's really
Mhm.
exciting. And the collaboration, I'm working with a couple other people in the group on projects that we're starting or helping other people with, just like doing freelance for other people in the group. And it's really, really fun. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. And I'm not stopping. I don't sleep that much, but it's worth
So
it.
are you able to pick when you work? Like how much are you working for someone full time or
Well,
is it for
so for
yourself?
me, I can work whenever I want to work as long as I get, I have deadlines for clients that I need to hit, right? As long as I'm hitting those, that's fine. It doesn't matter when I work or how long. I'm working on being more efficient. That's the most important part. There are people in the group I know that need to work certain hours. Like, um,
Mhm.
there's people that are on Eastern Standard Time that have to be by their computer or appear to be working between the hours of 9 and 5 or whatever.
Mhm.
And that I can see how that sucks. Actually, one of the guys in my group just got a job, a full-time job, and he has to start work at like 4:30 Eastern or 4:30 London time. So that sucks. He's
Mhm.
working basically all night. And there's like two girls in our group that work really, really late. And then like I don't even know when they sleep, to be honest, because I see them during the day and I'm not really sure how. And then I don't think there's anybody in our group that's unemployed. Um,
Okay.
there are people that don't need to work that often. Like one of my friends who's actually not here this month, he's pretty much he can work as much as he wants or as little as he wants, which I envy because he can go on trips for like weeks at a time and not have to worry
Yeah.
about it. I would love to be able to do that, and it would definitely give me more time to work on the vlog because that's like I really want to put out more content, and that's not
Mhm.
something I'm getting paid for, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's it's really it's tough to find balance. This year is all about balance.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Any social media personalities, thought leaders? Uh, hmm,
I know this
I don't.
blogger called
So
Contento.
I'm trying to become an influencer at some point. I've got actually a couple people in the group that want to help me become a presence in um, the remote nomad community. So not like any major thought leaders, but there are a ton of smart people that totally could be thought leaders in their respective
Yeah.
expertise. Um, who so I think my goal this year is to like put out enough content with the vlog that I build a good following and then I could
Mhm.
become a social media personality. That'll be cool.
Yeah. I think that that's one of the really great benefits of remote year is that it gives you that opportunity, and it like definitely accelerated my blog like tenfold, and it's led to a lot of great opportunities. So
Mhm.
I think that you are really good at your vlogs and you're good at being consistent. So I think that that will definitely
I
help
want to
you out.
say the new collaboration, the new opportunity I've gotten is revolving around video. So that's really exciting, and hopefully that translates into more interesting content in the vlog. Uh,
Yeah.
I just it's all about consistency when it comes to that when it comes to content
Mhm.
creation. That's where I
Yeah.
struggle is like being consistent and putting out content regularly. So I'm working on that. I think
Yeah.
once I can nail that down, I'll have a pretty good system, pretty good format.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll try to get to some of the other ones. So I'm going to ask you some more direct questions right now, and then it will be interesting to see the differences from a couple months ago. So these ones will be like pretty straightforward. Then we can get more into like the conversational chats. Um, so if you had to explain your experience so far in one word, what word?
I think I said chaos last time, and I still think it's chaos this time.
Okay. How about if you had to pick a different word? Because I think it's going to be chaos
A
all year.
a year of chaos.
uh,
Unmanageable.
Unmanageable. Okay, interesting. Um, And
Fun. Fun is the word. I lied. It's fun.
okay. And what are your impressions of remote year now? So before you explained remote year in one word, your impressions of it. So like, what are your impressions now? Like,
Um,
does that even make sense?
Flexible. I wasn't. It wasn't that. I knew it was a startup going into this, but I
Mhm.
didn't realize how open to suggestions they were until month 2 or 3. So I'm starting to understand that there's even with our group, we're like the fifth group, and they're still learning with us, and we're still kind of.
Mhm.
I'm actually doing the surveys. I'm actually trying to give insight and feedback into what our experience is like, so that the next groups have a better one.
And do you feel like they're receptive to your feedback?
Yeah, they totally are. And they have like even when it comes to like issues with the accommodations or issues in general, like we have a support system that'll help us. So it's great.
That's good. And you said before one of the things you were most nervous about was getting sick. How was
Did
your
I say that?
experience? Yeah, you said, getting overwhelmed, the time zone, and getting sick. And now you've been sick. How was that?
It was awful. And I was good. I was right to be concerned about that.
Okay. Do you find it's a lot more challenging being sick on the road? Like you're not, I mean, like you're kind of there by yourself, you're with a group, but like, if you need to go to the doctor, like it's a different experience
So
abroad.
my experience getting sick abroad was the first experience I've ever had being sick abroad. Hold on, I'm writing. Right, never mind. So the it didn't I didn't like being sick because I was one unable to do anything with the group, um, which took me out of the comfort. Like the group provided a lot of comfort to me, just like being with people and talking to them and knowing that we're all going through the same kind of thing was very comforting. And it didn't cause me like I wasn't missing home. I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
homesick at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I was taken out of that and life kept going on without me, like in the group, people were still going out, people were still having fun, activities were still occurring, and I was stuck in
Yeah.
my bed. That was really hard. And one of the nights that when it was really bad, when like my situation was really really bad, I had salmonella poisoning, so you can imagine what I had
Mm,
to deal with. One of those nights when I was just like so miserable and I couldn't sleep and my body was hurting and like I was like back and forth between the bathroom and my bed. There was a first time and probably the only time where I was like I I miss home a little bit. Like not
mhm.
even that I missed home, I just missed that comfort. I just wanted that comfort and
Yeah.
needed that again. And I don't know. I think everybody in the group was really good though. They were taking care of me. People were constantly checking in on me. I had people bringing me food all the time, so that really helped.
Yeah.
And it made things easier. And it wasn't until I got to Belgrade that I was like, I need to check out. I need to figure out what's wrong with me. So
Mhm.
I used International SOS to find a private hospital. Went to a hospital. They did some tests and they told me what I had and they told me what to do about it. So the figuring out like seeing a doctor wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was just like at home. Actually, it was easier than going to a doctor at home because this private hospital was clean and it was not really busy.
Okay. And did they speak English? Like,
Yeah, I haven't had any issues with people not speaking
okay.
English yet. Some like older people in Belgrade that had like small bodegas or whatever, they didn't speak English, but most of the younger people spoke English and they were like happy to do it.
That's cool. I remember when I was sick in Japan and I went to the hospital, the lady had to use this like iPad to get like a translator to translate between the two of us. She had no idea how to speak
They just
English.
don't ever work though.
What's that?
The translating apps never work. Like,
No, it was
and
a person. She like put up the iPad
oh,
to a person
oh,
and he would like was like Skyping in or something and I would like tell him my like information
that's
and then he
cool.
would like tell her. So that was interesting. Okay. Um, and then so the group dynamic we sort of already talked about. Do you feel like it's a like can you better explain how it's evolving? Like I guess you guys are feeling like more of like kind of getting to know each other more. I'm assuming this month you'll probably maybe get to like a deep level of getting to know
Yeah, I
everyone.
think some. So there's like overall everyone's really friendly, and there's some deeper friendships that are forming, and there are smaller networks that are forming. Like little, I don't want to call them cliques because they don't feel like
Mm,
cliques. It's not like
mhm.
there's anyone being excluded from anything, but
Yeah.
there are definitely like support systems forming within our group for like smaller groups. And that's cool. I think that's natural, and I think that's important. I definitely feel there are certain people in my group that I feel more comfortable talking about things with, or
Mhm.
just that I relate to more. There's people in my group that remind me of friends from back home. That's like something that you can't. Not everybody's gonna provide you with that sense
Mhm.
of with that sense of familiarity. So that's nice. Those things are nice, and I think our as the year goes on, we're gonna see that those friendships, those smaller groups become really, really important. And I
Mhm.
don't think we're going to lose the overall group dynamic. That might change a little bit, but I don't think that's going to go away. I thought in the beginning that there was going to be people that drop off.
Mhm.
And now I don't know. Now I don't know if we're going to lose anyone. Uh, there are people that like complain about little things, like
Yeah.
just accommodation things and stuff like that, that I wouldn't complain about, but I don't think it's enough to make them drop off the group.
Um, do you find I remember when I started remote year, I would see certain people hanging out that I would never see hanging out in normal life, but you see them hanging out on remote year and their friends. Do you see that interaction with people
So
where you're like, I could never see you guys being friends in real life?
so specifically, me and John Elston. So John is the oldest one in the group.
Okay.
I'm the youngest one in the group, and we hang out the most, I think, and we collaborate the most out of everyone else, which is really interesting. Because if we were just casually like we just met in real life, I don't think it would have we would have hung out or been friends
Mhm.
because of the obvious age difference. But
Yeah.
because we're on this thing together, and I mentioned this in my next vlog episode, age is nothing but a number on remote year.
Mhm.
And you don't even realize how old someone is until you step back and you're like, whoa, I didn't really think to ask you, but now I'm kind of curious, so I'm going to ask you what your age is. And then when you find out what someone's age is, you're like, damn, it's
Mhm.
not what I was expecting. So it's interesting. It's a really interesting dynamic, and I do see people hanging out that maybe the first week or two I wouldn't expect to hang out, and now they're like
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah.
So that's great. I love that. I just love when everyone gets along no matter what.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when you're in this situation too. You're living such a minimalist lifestyle that a lot of things are stripped away. And I think in normal life, people have they make these judgments. They don't mean to, but like, if you're driving like a nice car, a crappy car, where you live, what area you live in,
Yes.
people sort of form these ideas. But when you come on remote year, they can't
Yes.
form those ideas because they don't know where you come from. They don't know anything about you. Everyone has like 10 pairs of clothes and that's it. So you can't really go off that.
Yeah. So Justin, I don't know if I've mentioned Justin before, but Justin's becoming a good friend of mine, and he and I probably lead wildly different lifestyles back at home. He's in a much higher tax bracket than I'm in, and I don't think I would have the opportunity to hang out with him. But we've hung out
Yeah.
a couple times in the last few weeks, and it's been great. Like he helped, he taught me how to smoke my first cigar, and we went out to like this really nice restaurant, me, him,
Mhm.
and John, and we had a good time. And like those are experiences I probably wouldn't get back at home because I just wouldn't
Yeah.
be in that environment or hanging out with that crowd.
I completely agree. I feel like I had the opportunity to be around people that I would never have the opportunity because you just would never be in the same place at the same time or cross paths. So I think that's a
Exactly.
cool aspect of remote year. Like you have like when
It
it's
doesn't really provide
diverse.
much value to Justin, but it does to me.
I'm sure you provide some sort of value to them.
Something to
Um,
laugh at, maybe.
so sorry, I think we already said this. How you feel about remote year as a program in one word?
As a so not the
I think you said
I said unmanageable for like
unmanageable.
remote. I don't know about the
Okay,
program,
inflexible.
like the organization itself. Oh yeah, flexible, more flexible than I thought. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then what's the first word that comes to mind when I say Wi-Fi or internet?
Still reliable
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
I don't have high hopes for South America though.
Yeah, I think Europe has the best internet in my experience.
Yeah. And London has no issues. It's
Yeah.
just like America.
Um, what do you think right now is the single best thing about remote year?
Community by far.
Okay. And um, So I guess my next one was, what's the biggest thing keeping you on remote year? So I'm assuming that would be community. If you had to pick a reason to leave remote year, what would your reason be?
Financial.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how tired do you feel? Like in terms of
Uh,
it being tiring experience?
I'm super energetic, so I don't feel too tired, and I don't sleep as much as I should either. But
Like
I
even
just,
mentally, not just like,
yeah, no, I love it.
okay,
It's energizing to me. It's
good.
weird too because
Feed off of it.
I when I went to when I got sick in Prague, I went through caffeine withdrawal,
Mm,
and I've been caffeine free for like over a month now, and I still have the same amount of energy I did when I was drinking caffeine.
wow. I
Yeah,
didn't drink coffee before remote year, and now I'm
yeah.
trying to like wean myself off because I got used
Awful,
to
right.
like 1,000 coffees a day.
That's what I'm saying. Like before I got here, I was never dependent on caffeine. Like my whole life,
Yeah,
I was never dependent on caffeine. And then like June, like first month, I was drinking Red Bull and coffee and like a
yeah,
lot of caffeine. And then the silver lining with the salmonella poisoning was that I went through withdrawal,
yeah.
didn't have a choice, and now I'm like sticking with that. I haven't had a cup of coffee since.
That's good. So I guess in terms of comparing it to last time, if you had to pick a number, what would your number be? Like of it being a tiring experience, like exhausting.
Oh, 5,
Okay.
6.
Okay. You said 5 last time, so.
Okay, cool.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of a mental roller coaster has this been so far?
Mental roller coaster. It hasn't. 6, maybe 5 again.
Okay.
5, 6.
Well, you said 5 last time.
Yeah, consistent.
And okay, last time on a scale of 1 to 10, you had a 17 confidence level in living life as a digital nomad. So I'm wondering, what have you learned since being on remote year about life as a digital nomad that you didn't know before?
Um,
Like, yeah, I guess. So like this
uh,
whole lifestyle, like you seem pretty confident last time, but like, is there something you've learned in terms of like whether it's internet packing, mentally preparing for certain things, like
it's
friendships?
yeah, it's much harder to stay in touch with people back home than I thought it would be. Not because like technology makes it easy, but
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, it's hard to juggle focusing on my work, focusing on the environment that I'm in, and trying to remember to stay in touch. I'm really, really bad, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was bad at staying in touch based on just back at home,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm understanding exactly how bad I am at it, and I
Yeah,
have to apologize to my family for that.
yeah, it's really hard. Um, what? I'm trying to figure out which one to ask you here. Um, so at this point, do you see yourself continuing living this lifestyle? I guess you're sort of at a point where you're going to see how it goes, is from what I understand.
Yes, and indefinitely. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at an 18 now in confidence. Continuing on with this lifestyle,
We're going to be at 100 by the end.
maybe
Um, okay, so just a few more questions. So has anyone left your program yet? Has anyone?
not yet.
No?
But I was more confident in people leaving in month 1 than I am now. I think there are people. I don't think anyone's left. Dan, has anyone left? I don't know if he's still listening. I don't think so.
Okay, no. Okay. And I was going to ask about keeping in touch with family and friends.
Well,
And so I guess where do you think remote year is excelling at in the last couple months, and where could they improve?
they're so I just did this survey for them for last month. I think they're excelling at keeping us they're excelling at promoting the community, and having events and organizing things that kind of promote the community and keeping us involved with each other. But they could probably do better with the accommodations. So last month the accommodations varied so much. Like there were such nice apartments, and then there were such shitty apartments. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that's probably really hard. And I know it's probably easier said than done. But that's one
Yeah.
thing that I would have liked coming from the bottom of of the barrel on the apartments last month.
Mhm. I think that's one thing that I think what can get people upset is going from like apartment to hotel, but then also if you're in a situation where people are living in a really nice accommodation and people are living
Yeah.
in shitty accommodations.
So we organized a thing last month called, well, Kara organized a thing last month that we called Around the World,
Mhm.
which was like the first week we had a big group of remotes walking from one apartment to the next. It was 12 apartments, and we got to tour 12 different apartments for
Oh,
one night, and we had like 5 minutes in each apartment. We would hang out, drink, and snack, and then just like look at all the apartments. So I was like, yeah, this is a great idea. We're going to see all the apartments. And then me and Terrence were walking the whole time like, what the fuck?
yeah.
We weren't that happy after that.
Yeah. And it's just hard because everyone's paying the same, right? And it is not
Yeah,
a cheap
yeah,
program. So
yeah.
yeah, that can be hard. Um, cool. Okay. That is mostly everything. Is there anything that you want to say about your experience that we haven't touched on about how it's been?
I'm trying to think. No, I just want to say that if you are interested in knowing more, to follow me on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube and watch the vlog, because I'm trying to go into all this stuff in detail on it.
Yeah. I think your video about Prague was really the way it's hard to convey remote year in words because it's just such an unreal experience. And I feel like you hit the first month like spot on. Like everything you said in that video is exactly how I felt about my first month.
I think so. To that note, like there's a bunch of people that have reached out to me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram about like I was hesitant, and then I saw your video, and now I'm
Mm,
like, oh, I really want to do it. And actually, today when I was making lunch upstairs, there was a guy who almost applied. He's just living here right now, and he almost applied, and he was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like it's a year's a long time, and like I just straight with him and was like, dude, it's a life-changing experience.
mhm.
And I told him like all the things that I was basically saying in the Prague episode and things that I've been saying throughout the last couple months. And
Yeah,
now he's like ready to go apply again. And so
that's cool.
there are a lot of skeptics and there are a lot of haters, and I get
Mhm.
it. I totally get it. But I'm telling you guys from experience that this is a wonderful program.
Yeah, cool. It's definitely life changing and has a huge
It
impact on
it
your
is.
life.
So it's crazy. It's life changing, and it's not an exaggeration, because like it's it was an awakening experience for me the first month, and now I'm in it and I never want to leave this kind of
Mhm.
lifestyle, this kind of feeling, and I hope it doesn't end. I don't know, like
Mhm.
something could happen where it has to end, but I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's really realistic to do this and have a normal, like, I don't know, life and family.
Mhm.
There's a couple on our in our group, and they're traveling together and they're doing this, and they
Yeah.
seem like they're doing pretty well. But I don't know if it's really realistic once you want to like make the next step and go to the next phase of your life. But for your
Yeah.
20s and 30s, I think it's a great thing.
I think it would maybe just be done in a different way. Like I think on a huge program, 1 month at a time is you're doing probably the most extreme version, whereas
Mhm.
other people could do it at a slower pace with less people or by themselves. Um,
Speaking of, you asked me the first time if a month was long enough,
mhm.
and I think I said that it was. I think I said it was the perfect amount of
You did
time.
say it was the perfect.
Yeah, and last month I think I want to reconsider that point, because I don't think after last month and how fast last month went by, I think I could have used another week or two.
Mhm.
I was really slow in getting warmed up to Belgrade. At first, I didn't like it, and then
Yeah.
it was like by the last week is when I was really starting to fall in love with it. Like everybody else was way quicker about that. They were like, well, "I love Belgrade," and I'm over
Yeah.
here like, What do you like about this place? I don't really get it. It's like dirty. There's like ruins. I don't know." But then by the
Yeah.
last week, I started to like find out the things that I liked about it, and I was like, I could use 2 more weeks here. But
Yeah. That's interesting. I find like when you go to a new country, some places you just click. Like when I was in Bali, I arrived at night and I was there for an hour and I was like, I love it. I never want to leave. It was just this feeling I had. And then there's other places where you're there for 3 weeks and you like have to warm up to it. It's like, it's always different depending on where you
yeah, I
go.
hope that doesn't happen a lot though, because I don't want to keep falling in love with a place at the end of the month and then not know like what else there was about it that I could have enjoyed. I don't know. I
Yeah.
I might go back to Belgrade in the future just to get a better sense of what it is about that city that I liked so much. But I do know I left there feeling like I needed more.
Yeah. I also think that when you go to places now, most often you've experienced a place as a tourist, but now you're experiencing it as a digital nomad. So things that you're looking for are so different. Like for me, I want somewhere that has lots of cool cafes, good internet. Whereas before I was like, I want to be in the middle of a forest where you're probably not going to get Wi-Fi out in nature, but like that's a lot harder to achieve when you're trying to work remotely.
Right.
So I feel like you look at countries in a different lens as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
All right.
All
So
right.
I
I
guess
guess that's everything.
that's everything. Cool. I think so. When are we doing the next one?
We will do it next month when you arrive into your next country, which is going to
Okay.
be, where are you going?
Lisbon. I'm super excited about Lisbon. Like I
Lisbon.
think that's the city I'm the most excited for this year.
I think that's a hub for nomads or a like
Perfect.
growing hub.
Yeah, there's actually a startup retreat happening while I'm there, and then there's like there's a startup retreat happening the next like the Web Summit happens there in the next month,
Okay.
I think. And it's by the water. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's exciting. Yeah.
Beaches. I miss beaches.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing on remote year. I missed the beaches so much. And whenever we got to a beach, I never wanted to leave.
Yeah,
We
I
had
think I
like
might.
two locations.
I'm gonna get all my work done for the next 6 months this month, and then I'm just gonna lay on the beach
Yeah,
after we get to Lisbon.
that's awesome. Um, okay, well, I'm curious to see how your year keeps progressing. And I guess
Hmm.
I will talk to you next month,
Yep.
just after you arrive in Lisbon and see how that is.
Cool. Talk
Cool.
to you then.
Okay, bye.
Bye.